Well, good morning and a warm welcome back to the channel. Those of you that watch regularly will know I recently went for my first service on my BMW R1250GS Adventure. You can reference that as a card up at the side here, but that I had some pretty serious connectivity issues, and having had a 1200 a couple of years ago with an optional TFT screen, having had for 2 years the R1250GS with fitted TFT screen, and now having the BMW R1250GS Adventure with fitted TFT screen, I consider myself certainly experienced in the connection issues that we get with the TFT screen and the Nav6 and various other devices. So I've not got a solution, so I'm not going to pretend as we go through this that I've got a solution to all of these problems, but I just thought I'd go through some of the things I've learned from the dealer, North Oxford Garages in Oxford, who have been incredible in trying to help me understand and sort these issues, and also to show you how I connect, why I think we have some issues with it, and in fact some of the issues that I now know BMW have with software and apps and various other things like that. So if that's of interest to you, stick around, watch the video. Okay, so you can see that I've got a Shui Neotech 2 helmet, which is the flip lid helmet, and that has an integrated, or at least you buy it extra, but it is an integrated Sena intercom system, which is called the SRL. You can also get an SRL 2 now, which is probably an improvement upon the one that I've got, but I've actually got an SRL, and I believe that to be very similar to the 20S. But I think it's important that I go through exactly what I've got as equipment, because your equipment may well be different. Of course, I've got the BMW Nav6, which I think people have either got the Nav5 or the Nav6. I don't think there's a huge amount of difference between them. And I've got a iPhone 11 Pro with iOS 14.01 at the moment, and it's quite important that we sort of check that, because you'll see as I talk later on, there is categorically an issue, as acknowledged by BMW, with the iOS operating system. So what I'm going to do first and foremost is I'm going to pair my helmet with the BMW Nav6, and I'm going to pair my phone with the BMW Nav6, and I'm going to try and tell you specifically what I'm doing in an effort to make sure that I don't get contention between the Nav6 and the TFT. Now, one thing that North Oxford Garages did say was that, you know, truly, if you're trying to use the Nav6 and the TFT, you're always going to run into trouble. My immediate reaction, as they will tell you to that, was I paid £600 for a BMW Nav6, which we all know is the Garmin unit, but it's a BMW branded Nav6. And I paid 20,000 quid for a BMW motorcycle with a TFT. And if there are things within those two that clash, I would have expected BMW in one of the software releases to actually either disable functionality within the Nav6 or disable functionality within the TFT, so that if you want to use the two together, which are very much seen to go together, that they will actually work. So I'm not letting them off the hook. I'm not letting them off the hook for that one. Certainly the one thing I would also say is, my dealership, and it is my preferred dealership, they're 70 miles from home, so I have a pretty big commitment to the dealership, are very proactive. They've gone through all of this with me. I'm quite a technical person, as you'll be aware, but I've gone through this with them. They've been very open and honest as they can possibly be, and I'm confident now that my motorcycle is as far forward in updates and technology and all the rest of those things that it can possibly be. And we still have some problems. It's a little bit better than it was when I was away on tour recently, where it was an absolute disaster. So certainly we've managed to make some steps forward, and it's those steps that I'm going to hope to give you in order to hopefully give you a little bit of a clearer signal. So let's make a start with the Nav6. So let's start off by pairing the helmet with the Nav6. Now, it's very important that when we pair these two together, we use a completely different channel than we use for pairing the helmet to the TFT screen. So on the Shui Neotech 2, or in fact, I should stop saying Shui Neotech 2, on the SRL, the Sena SRL, and most Sena devices I'm sure are pretty much the same. I don't know whether the Cardo Pack ones are and all the other devices that are available, but certainly on the Sena one, we have the ability to pair with a mobile phone, a second mobile phone, GPS, media, and several other settings. Now, each of those uses a different Bluetooth protocol. So a mobile phone, for example, uses a very, very high-end protocol, and that allows you to get stereo music, that allows you to get speech, two-way phone calls, it allows you to transfer contacts and stuff like that. Whereas GPS uses a much more basic Bluetooth protocol, which might only, for example, give you a mono back and one-way feed, because of course you don't even want to speak to the GPS system. So it's important to understand you have all of these different protocols. But what we intend to do is we want to use the mobile phone pairing, number one mobile phone pairing, to pair the TFT with on the bike. So we're actually going to use the second mobile phone pairing, so that actually the Nav6 should completely bypass the TFT using that second mobile phone channel to actually come through directly to the helmet. And what we're going to use that for is the smart link that I have on my mobile phone will go into the Nav6 and will give the Nav6 the information of traffic delays and speed cameras and the like, and that should send it on that other channel through to my crash helmet. So on the SRL, to put it into configuration mode, well, first of all, let's switch it on. That's a combination of the center button and the plus button. And she welcomes you to the world, and very soon it changes from a flashing red to a flashing blue. Now that shows that you are connected to Bluetooth. Now you're asking, why am I connected to Bluetooth? Because I've deleted the pairing on the Nav6. It's because it's actually connected to my phone, and my phone is what is actually filming the Nav6 here. So it's actually flashing blue because it does have a Bluetooth connection to my phone, but it doesn't have one as yet to the Navigator 6. So we're going to use the second mobile phone pairing to pair the Nav6 through to my helmet. So to do that, we press on the center button and we'll get several bleeps, and we need to listen for configuration menu, which is the last one. So let's hit the center button. Not yet. The next one will be intercom pairing. It's not that.
Intercom pairing.
We need the next one.
Menu.
Okay, so we're now in the configuration menu, and we now use the plus and minus buttons to go through that menu. Press the plus button once.
Phone pairing
is the first phone pairing. We don't want that one because we're going to use that for the TFT. So we press it again.
Second mobile phone pairing.
Second mobile phone pairing. That's the one that we want. So if we now switch on the Nav6, which is inconveniently switched off, and we go into Bluetooth, and we go into scan devices and we click OK, we can hear the helmet bleeping to pair. We should in a moment get the Neotech 2, there it is, SRL Neotech 2 version 1.0.9, which is the firmware version. We click OK. It gives me a pass key, which of course I can't enter in the Neotech, so I just answer yes. Do I wish to pair?
Your headset is paired.
And now our headset is paired. So effectively, using the second mobile phone channel, I'm now paired directly to the helmet, which means it won't interfere or shouldn't interfere with the first mobile phone channel, which I'm going to use to pair the helmet to the TFT. Now, here's an important thing that I always do, and I'm sure this is what helps. If we click on this connection, you'll see that all of the flags are ticked. Now, if I leave those ticked, I quite often find that the media on the TFT is now greyed out. So I'm going to uncheck that. Now, I can't uncheck phone and navigation because, one, I want to leave the navigation channel open so that she'll read me my directional instructions, and I also want to leave it open so that I can get traffic information and speed camera information. Interestingly too, if you try to untick that, you'll find that this one will go off as well because it's saying you've got no channels connected anymore, you don't need them. So that's what I always ride with on the Navigator 6. What we'll now do is we will actually connect the mobile phone to the Nav6 as well. Okay, so despite the fact I have an array of cameras filming this so that you can see the helmet, you can see me, and you can see the Nav6, obviously the filming that I'm doing with the Nav6 is actually my iPhone. So I wasn't able to actually film that for you, but as you can see, through exactly the same format, I've connected Nick's iPhone and it is connected. Now, if I press on that link, exactly the same as I did on the SRL Neotech one, you can see that I've now got extra ones checked. I've got media, I've got smartphone link, and I've got phone calls. Now again, if we leave those paired, they will go off on the TFT. They will be dimmed on the TFT because you can only have one of those channels live at any one time. So I want to take out media because I want to play that via the TFT. I'm going to take out phone calls because I want to take those via the TFT. And I'm just going to leave the smartphone link. Now, the smartphone link is the app on your mobile phone that you download from Garmin, which allows you to receive traffic information and speed camera information. Those two are free services that you get with the device, so you don't have to pay for those. They have extra ones like enhanced weather and enhanced live photos, live traffic cameras, that type of stuff. I don't actually do any of those, but the smartphone link is certainly useful so that if I'm on an unfamiliar road, not that I'm a great speeder, but you can actually then at least tone your speed down if she suddenly dings at you to tell you that there's a big red bar at the top of the navigator, which is telling you that there is a traffic camera upcoming. So those are the settings that I make on my Navigator 6, and what we'll now do is move out to the bike and we'll show you on the TFT that the connections that we make with the bike, which 9 times out of 10 will work. Then we'll come back for a bit of a conclusion, a bit of a whinge, a bit of a moan, and introduce you, if you already need introducing, to some of the issues that we actually get with this setup. So if we start by booting the TFT to here, and then if we move down on the menu switch to the settings, and then down on the settings again, and then scroll all the way to the bottom, this is an ideal place to start. This reset all will actually reset all of the settings in your TFT. That includes all of the connections. So really, if you get to a real point where nothing will work, this is a very good place to start. We could go up to connections and do them all individually, but I'm just going to reset all. It'll reset everything back to the factory settings and do a bit of a reboot, as you'll see. So there we go. So now she's done a complete reboot after the settings have been done. So now if we go down and across to the settings menu, we'll find that we now have lost our connections totally. If I go up again, you can see that it's actually greyed out from there. So if we now go down to connections, just wait for her to establish that she needs connections, which is when she'll light up. Okay, so we're now ready to go. So into connections, I've got no mobile device, as you can see. So if I now go to mobile device and pair new mobile device, and I've got my iPhone now ready in pair mode, so straight away it sees my phone. If I now go on the whizzy wheel to the right again, it will try pairing. I can now accept the pair on the phone, accept the pair on the TFT, allow it to sync my favourites because that will fill my telephone book with all of the names that I need, and there we are. That is the mobile device successfully connected. Now we're going to go down and do the rider's helmet, and if we look down here we can actually see that the telephone has actually connected because we can see the telephone symbol. Now I'm going to go over to my Shui Neotech helmet, and as I did with the previous settings, I'm going to switch the helmet on.
Hello.
She'll welcome me to the world as she did before, and then I'm going to hold down the center button exactly as I did before until I get the configuration menu.
Intercom pairing.
Not that one.
Configuration menu.
So we're now in the configuration menu, and as we know, we did the phone 2 before. We want to do just mobile phone.
Phone pairing.
So this is the one that we want to now do. So it's bleeping away. Go to rider's helmet, pair new rider's helmet, and it searches for it. It finds my Shui Neotech version 1.0.9. I move the whizzy wheel to the right again, and now she'll pair.
Your headset is paired.
So there we are. It did take a little while, but the headset is paired. So now I've got the mobile device Nick's iPhone, rider's helmet SRL Neotech, and down here now you can see that both my headset and my telephone is actually paired because I've got both symbols. So now if I go upwards, we should find that all of these, telephone, media and navigation, are now all lit up. And obviously I won't be able to play it for fear of getting a copyright hit, but if I were to open my Spotify, turn the volume right down first of all before I start it, because as I say I would get a copyright hit. But there we are, Elton John, Don't Go Breaking My Heart. And now by using the whizzy wheel I do have the ability to shift. So Ike Tina Turner, Nutbush City Limits is now playing, obviously silently. And once more with the whizzy wheel we move on to Breakfast in America by Supertramp, and you'll see that given time via the mobile phone it will also download the art from the album as well, like so. So you can see we're connected. We would be able to now make phone calls, we would be able to now do media, but that is how I reset my phone and how I set it all up. So let's just go indoors now and do a little bit of a summary, and I'll also give you some information that I've learned from the BMW dealer. So that gives you a rundown of how I reset my settings and how I set up my connections via the telephone to the Nav6 and the telephone to the TFT, and not the telephone to the helmet and not the TFT to the Nav6. So those are two connections you absolutely don't want to make. So if we look at this schematic, hopefully it'll give you the idea of why all that I've done should actually work. So there are two connections in my phone, but predominantly on my phone I have the Spotify app for music and the Garmin SmartLink app for traffic cameras and traffic delays. So I connect my phone to the BMW Navigator and I turn off all of the settings on that connection in the Navigator except SmartLink. So the Navigator 6 will now receive all of that from the SmartLink app. I then connect my phone directly to the TFT via the mobile device connection. If I add in the headset on the Sena SRL, I use mobile phone 2 setting on that headset to connect to the Navigator 6, and that allows me to hear the turn indications from the Navigator 6 and any of the warnings sent by the SmartLink on my phone. I then connect the main mobile phone setting to the rider's helmet, which allows me to listen to Spotify, again off my phone. 4 discrete connections. Okay, so now all of that said, just to round all of that up, I get the fact that this should be more reliable. I'm really grateful to North Oxford Garages who have been proactive throughout on this. They took the bike in for a couple of days, they reset everything, they reloaded everything, they made sure everything was totally up to date. They didn't update the firmware on the TFT because the one that I had was the most up-to-date firmware. So as I'm sat here on October the 10th, Saturday, October the 10th, the most up-to-date firmware on the BMW R1250GS Adventure is 022_005_041. I guarantee you that. What I, however, do know is that there is a new firmware coming out in November. This has been told me by North Oxford Garages. So this comes out in November. I believe the number randomly is going to be 020_11_500 ISTA version 4.26.1x. Now, in quotes, I have sporadic loss of Bluetooth pairing information in the TFT instrument cluster for mobile phone and or communication systems. So as North Oxford garages tell me, let's keep our fingers crossed that that actually works. Now, to finally finish all of this up, many of you will have the BMW Connected app on your phones, and there's some great videos out there that tell you how to use it, and actually it's becoming an incredibly good app. But the major problem that the app is having at the moment is that it loses its connectivity. So you end up with a square miles per hour square block with just 3 dashes in it. By the way, please note that due to Brexit, miles per hour get a nice white square block, whereas if you are in kilometres, you get a beautiful round red-rimmed signal. I jest, of course, but it is important to know that the telephone connection and the media connection do not require the connected app. The only thing the connected app is used for is for the navigation. Now, we absolutely know that the app started to have a problem with dropping its connectivity and freezing while around after iOS version 13.3. We're now on 14.01. So it's more a problem with Apple than it is with any other phone with regard to the navigation issues. It represents itself, as I say, with a speed limit symbol on the TFT with just 3 dashes in it. It's not picking up from the maps in the app. It's not picking up the speed limit, so it just goes to 3 dashes, and then eventually, to be honest, it just disappears. Another symptom of it is you move from, let's say, a 30 mile an hour limit into a 70 mile an hour limit, and you can be doing 6 or 7 miles in the 70 mile an hour limit and it still says 30. That app has then frozen in your pocket. Now, this isn't the symptom that most people will be aware of. What you must do within your phone is you must go to the app on your phone, and we'll show you a little screenshot of this, a little screen video. You must go to the app on your phone and you must enable it to always use your location, not just when you're using the app, because otherwise when you turn off the app to put it in your pocket, it loses your location anyway. But this isn't the problem we're talking about. They have a problem which has appeared since iOS 13.3. So those of you with Android phones should not really be having too much problem with the navigation side. Nothing at all to do with the connecting of phones or the connecting of media. Hopefully I've helped you out with that earlier. Now, it's been a complicated video. It's been a difficult video to make and a difficult video to get over in a few words, and I'm never a man of a few words. I always use too many. I'm so sorry about that. But if you've got any comments or any questions that I might be able to help you out with, then please put them down below. If you've got any successes that you've had, please put those down below. If you've liked this video, as always, it really helps the channel if you give it a thumbs up. And if you've liked this video or any of the other ones that I've done in the past, if you look around my channel, then it'd be great if you could subscribe. The number of subscribers that I've got is still teetering under 4,000, so it'd be nice to get people along. Other than that, ride safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.